Hello, everybody. My name is Louis Joseph. I'm the founder and CEO of iBoss Entertainment with my wonderful co-host, Amrita.
Hello, I'm Amrita Khalsa, the Director of Marketing for iBoss Entertainment, and we are really excited to start season 2 of our Meet the Creators series with our first guest.
Absolutely. And, we are very excited to introduce our guest. But first, before we get started, certainly if you are tuning in to Meet the Creators for the first time, Meet the Creators is all about helping you get to know the wonderful creatives that are on iBoss TV. So go to iBossTV.com, subscribe, and, explore creative genius. And of course, check out our website, iBossEntertainment.com, to get a good sense of our mission, our vision, and what we're all about and what we're up to. So, and of course, follow us on social media, Instagram, iBoss Entertainment, or and at iBoss TV, right here on your screen. And let's get started. So, are you excited today, Amrat?
Oh, yes, definitely. Just like the historical context of where this story is coming from, and also just our guest experiences in the film world. So, really excited to talk with her.
Absolutely. So, our guest today, she is an actress, she is a producer, she is a director. She's done so much in the industry and elevating stories and of course telling her story. So today we want to introduce to you Nina Kojima.
Hi.
Hey Nina.
Hi,
Welcome.
greetings from London.
Excellent, excellent. We are excited to have you today. Nina is the director of the documentary film on iBoss TV called Brexit through the non-political glass. So you definitely want to check out Brexit on the website. But before we get going, we're going to play the trailer so you get a sense of what Brexit is all about.
Brexit is in part a manifestation of a trend that is global.
I think it would be very unfortunate if the UK became known primarily for Brexit.
Well, yes, it is a British brand, it's fair enough.
One of the things that I think we're going to see as Brexit plays out is a lot of people being surprised by some of the consequences of what Brexit means.
The debate about Europe will carry on in British politics. It's not that Brexit will be the end of it.
If you are a leaver, you say it's liberation, it's independence, it's freedom. If you are a Remainer, you would say, actually, the country is diminished.
When we look at the government's estimate of how beneficial an agreement with the United States will be if they have free trade, the government's own estimate is it will raise UK GDP in the long run by between 0.07% and 0.16%. So it's almost infinitesimal.
You know, we mustn't think that the European Union is a panacea. There were actually also a number of areas where our law was in fact more advanced.
It will of course be much harder in future for Britons to go work, live, retire, marry, study and all the rest of it in the EU, and that is indeed a very big loss to us for the future.
I think leaving the European Union is probably the worst diplomatic and economic decision of my lifetime.
So, Nina, you have a long list of roles and experiences from director to writer to radio producer. So, can you tell us, like, where did you get your start working within like film and entertainment industry? And like, where was your passion coming from?
Well, it goes so long ago. I can't probably remember, but my stepfather was film producer, and he worked at the national television back then. It was former Yugoslavia. I'm from Slovenia. And I was introduced at a very young age. I remember I was doing all the commercials, I was doing the co-productions, I learned some languages back then, so I was able to be a cast member in co-production with Germany, co-production with Italy. So I actually, it was very natural for me. Like, if I wasn't good back then, probably I would only had one chance. But I kind of remember all these cameras, and it was always boiling hot. And people were always, and you do that. And then all the eyes from hundreds of people were looking at me. And I was like a very tiny child. And when I did it, they were clapping the hands. And I thought, I'm so good. I'm so brilliant. Look, they're clapping. I don't know whether I was good or not. A lot of this material, it's really hard to find now because it's so many years ago. But I was actually really young when I started, and I always kept. I later on wanted to study philosophy, and I studied sociology, and I studied. Now I'm completing my PhD in space science. So I always had the academia in parallel with me. I didn't want to be just, I'm just an actor, or I'm just a film director, or a radio person. So yeah, but the best media I ever worked for was the radio. When I had my morning show, I was doing Eurovision Song Contest. It's not that famous in the States, but it's like super famous in Europe, and actually even in Australia, because Australia joined the competition of European countries, which is the best music. It's so weird, but they did, yeah.
Nice. Thanks for just like going through. I'm sure it's like lots of years of like experience there. And then, so what led you to wanting to tell this story? Often when we're meeting with the creators, it's this storytelling experience. So with Brexit through the non-political glass, why this story, and what was like your inspiration for wanting to share to the world more about this?
Because I was angry, and I'm still angry, and I'm frustrated, and I feel like I was cheated for the rest of my life by stupid politicians. And I can't believe that I started hating people who are doing public service, and they're called politicians. And I was correspondent from 10 Downing Street, and I'm a member of 10 Downing Street press lobby since 2009. So I'm the person who is in front of this famous door, corresponding what's going behind the door. And I promise I never went to any of the drunken parties there during the COVID. And and I was looking at them, how they were lying. It was one lie after another. And I said, like, but these are people's destinies, people's lives. How can you say you're going to save money on NHS, which is a national health system? We have it here for free. How can you do that? This is completely not true, that you're going to be able to save so much money if we leave European Union for the medicine. It's not true. And I said, I need to make a story, and I'm going to make a story with the right people, with people who really know, who are expert on constitutional law, on economy. So I went up and down the country. Like, we have the experts from Oxford, from Cambridge, from Leeds, from all the famous universities of our country. And I wanted them to tell the story, the true story. And it's very balanced. It's not one-sided. It's not at all against Brexit or up for it. It's just explains when this idea happened about Brexit, and you won't believe it was probably 200 years ago, when this country was sick and fed up with wars, because they had wars with every single country in the continent. Except I think Portugal. They were never in war with Portugal, but they had war with France. They had war with Norway, with Vikings, with Denmark, and even the latest one with Germany, Nazi Germany. And I think that they just wanted to have their own little land, since empire collapsed, changed to wealth and so on, and leave. And that idea kind of rekindled their imperialistic idea to some people. Of course, Brexit resonates to some people, and I'm sorry that the majority went to vote for it. But I think it would be very different today, because now we know what that means. It's not a spread you put in the morning on a piece of bread, and say, oh, that's a nice start of the day.
Yeah, and the sentiment that you shared about your feelings about Brexit and feeling that you were lied to is it's interesting. In your piece, you definitely show all the different sides and the perspectives of Brexit. And I have a clip here that actually shares some of those sentiments that you are speaking of, so the viewers get a sense of this perspective here. So let's do it.
Will people feel conned? I think down the line we will see whether people who supported Leave feel that the promises that the Leave side said, that we would get a close relationship with the EU, it will be the easiest trade deal in history. That's obviously not proved the case, as we've seen. Whether people really sort of take it out on the people who sold them that false prospectus.
I mean, there were certainly some people on the Brexit side of the debate who clearly were and are con men, in the sense of telling the public things which were clearly not true.
In the height of a political campaign, both sides resorted to simplifications. One very famous simplification, one very simple lie, we can say, was the assertion that the United Kingdom would receive £350 million back that we could then invest in the National Health Service. The day after the referendum, Nigel Farage said very clearly, well, that wasn't actually true. So there were a number of simple lies told, and because of the heat of the political campaign, it's very difficult to explain actually what the European Union is. So I don't think we can say it was the trick of a con man. I think that the context didn't really allow for a full explanation of what the European Union is, and that left a gap for these complex truths, left a gap for simple lies.
Wow. Yeah, and that's well put. It's showing the perspectives of how people felt in the aftermath of Brexit. Now, in your opinion, though, what do you think it was really about, as far as the push to really vote for the referendum?
I think it's just a global trend, when people are fed up everywhere with governments, and then they have two options. Either they, sorry to say, shuffle their finger up and say something and do exactly against the government, no matter whether the government has a good agenda or not, or they go and they vote wrong people, and my opinion is that we voted wrong people, and we got what we deserved, I guess. I think people in India voted wrong people. People in the States, voted before wrong people, and the new people are not better. So it's the global phenomenon. It's every single country you're gonna go now, and you're gonna, even the smaller countries in European Union, they all went. Look what happened just recently in Netherlands. Completely right wing, the guy who's kicking out verbally innocent people from the country just because, I don't know, their faith is not the right one, because everything, it just has to be flat. If you are that certain faith, you are just a bad person. They just don't see, oh, maybe there are some people who are really bad from that faith, but in general, they could be good, So why do we have to segregate society? We all live on one planet, and there is plenty of room for everybody on this planet to live a normal life. And I think that is the answer.
Yeah. And one thing that I love is that you're bringing in perspectives, not just from the political side, but what are the people that are impacted by this? How are they feeling and really elevating their voices? So, how did you find all of these people to interview to really share their voice on this matter?
As a political correspondent, I always had these contacts because I didn't just interview politicians. And I always, sometimes I didn't interview the academics. I just asked for a favor. I said, look, could you please look into Constitution? What does that mean and what does that say? And they would help me. And it was a very hard time to film this film because we had a lot of obstacles. It was during COVID. For example, we had all the plans. We are going then from London to Cambridge, and then Boris Johnson, who was doing nothing but drinking there, he said, oh, you can't go to Cambridge if you're in London because you are level 4 pandemic and Cambridge is level 2. So you can't go to level less, So we had to stop, but then I had to pay the crew for all this time. They were waiting and waiting and waiting. And we were, I feel double cheated, not just on Brexit, but also on pandemia, because he was having a fun time dictating when I can go and film. And I was paying a fortune to keep the crew that they're not going to go somewhere else. For example, cinematographer was booked for a shoot in Africa, in Kenya, and he actually had to stay with me, but I had to pay him because I couldn't say, you're going to stay here now and you're going to wait when Boris Johnson feels like that we can go to Cambridge. It doesn't work like that. So the thing is that what happened was that I called those professors and I said, look, we are making this film. And this is the truth, what I'm telling you. And I think it's partly related to the fact that it was pandemic. Would you be able to give us interview in a very safe way? I mean, this film was a completely different format, but we couldn't do the format because we have to keep the distance. We have to keep the isolation. We couldn't come close, 2 meters to the people we were. And we were traveling like, I have Tesla car, 7-seater, and I bought a car for the shoot because I don't have a license to drive the van. And I said, that's what we're going to do. We're going to reduce the number of the crew. We put we bought online the volume, so we had the sound at the back. We had the middle, the assistants, and me and the assistant director was on the front. But we were all like, and then the cinematographer and the camera were traveling like that separately in another car. So we couldn't go to each other because like cinematographer's wife has one kidney. It would be disastrous if she would get COVID in that time. So when I wrote to them and I said, look, we're doing this, would you be my speaker for this film? I got from all of them you see in the film a reply in less than half an hour, yes. And I said to myself, this is the way we should do it. We must do it because the universe is telling me, if they replied in half an hour, we must do it. I was very, very thinking maybe just to cancel the shoot, but I went for it and I'm not sorry.
Absolutely. And, as independent filmmaker, you go through all these challenges, but I definitely, commend you for pushing through all these different obstacles. I mean, around COVID and getting the interviews and and I wouldn't be able to tell it was around COVID. I couldn't tell how close or how far you were. So definitely a great, composition of all the components in the film. And what other aspects of the project that you wanted to ensure the viewers get out of it when you produced it?
Well, I wanted to show that picture of COVID. You know, you saw empty Leicester Square, which is never happening. Even at 3 a.m. on a normal day in London, there will be so many people there, you know, and they will be performing there. You know, there are cinema premieres. You know, but to see the empty Leicester Square with a big, you know, message saying "See you soon," you know, it's kind of very relevant to the Brexit itself, because Brexit is an empty Leicester Square. You know what I mean? It's an empty package. It's a lie. It's an empty promise. It's sad. You are lonely. We are now lonely. We were a very serious nation, very serious country, serious contributor. I mean, we still are serious contributor to NATO, but you know, we don't have that voice anymore, because we are just alone. We are just like, we used to be a great nation, and we are just now, you know, we still have king, so we still have some, you know, commercials come to UK, visit us. We have palaces and stuff, but we also have Brexit spread.
Now, do you think a time will come where there'll be a push to re-enter the EU at any time?
You know, I'm not a religious person, but God bless your speech. It's not going to happen, unfortunately, and it's not going to happen for my lifetime. What I think is going to happen is that I think in the next 20 years, Europe will become a little bit looser organization, in a sense that Europe will invite or integrate in a certain level countries like UK and Norway and Iceland better to that common market, I think. But that's mostly because we are going nanotechnology, we are going robotic. You know, now we're gonna soon have a machine at home, and we're gonna see our X-ray. You know, oh, I'm hurting here, and the machine will read, oh, you need to see a doctor, or you don't need to see a doctor, and stuff like that. You know, so we will more kind of need each other, and more we will be more sharing each other things, but on the other hand, we will also more diverse from each other, and Europe will diverse from each other as well, because people don't find it. I mean, European Union is Delors' idea. That was a French statesman and once a president of France, and it was just a creation because there was constant wars between Germany and France. You know, they were constantly fighting for this territory, for the coal. Nobody's using coal anymore, so it's not important. You know, nobody can put a field on those mountains of coal, because the mountain is just a mountain. You can climb up and down, and that's it. That's how we use them these days. There is no coal mining anymore, so it's not important. And the industry as we knew, for now, it's not going to exist anymore, because everything will be built robotically. You know, we all see how the whole world is struggling for the steel jobs, for the car jobs, and all of that, because the robots are replacing everything. So it's going to be less tension for this reason. So it's going to be a different European Union, I guess.
And what do you think for like this next generation of filmmakers and producers and wanting to tell stories? Where do you want to see like stories like this, where it does have a global impact as well? How do you want to see like the next generation of young people really telling these stories that matter, and how they're displaying it to the world?
I think as a filmmaker, you just really have to be honest if you want to do an honest exposure of problematic story. And you have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe that what you're telling, it's a truth. Of course, there are filmmakers who are fantasists as well, and I love those stories as well. I'm sure you love Star Wars and stuff. But but the thing is that when it's about these problematic topics, I think honesty, just follow your heart, follow your mind. I made a big minus on the company's account when I was making Brexit, and I couldn't complete it. And then I didn't have money to do the final post-pro. And then I was thinking, what am I going to do? I just did like, and this is all because of those lockdowns, yeah, because we weren't allowed to go. I had to pay. I had to do so many, do swaps for the COVID tests and stuff, you know. And then I realized, you know, I called a friend to Slovenia from 20 years ago, and I said, look, I have this film, send him the little clip. And he said, I'm going to finish this. Just send me over everything, you know, I'm going to finish. I love it, you know. And when you have that, when you believe, other people will believe in you as well. And eventually they're going to come to you and they will help you. Because that's who we are. We are a virtue human people. Yeah. So there are a lot of workers in this world. There are bees and wasps and ants. They're workers as well. You know they are. But none of the creatures have first the idea, and then they work on this idea and think how they're going to make it, and then they make this idea. And I think these are the scientists, the filmmakers, you know, even a surgeon who has to perform a very important body surgery. You know, this is who we are. And you always have to believe that there are people who will love your story, who will love your idea, and you can make it together. And that's how I bring up my children. And that's how I wish other people would bring up their children. We are together, and together we can make it. No matter what, you know, we can make it. There will be somebody in this world who thinks similarly than you, and you can do it together.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, and there's, you know, I truly believe there's a power of storytelling. You know, it helps you, whether it impacts you, making you cry, making you laugh, making you make a decision, making you angry, right? But certainly as creators, being able to bring in the forefront perspectives for people to absorb and learn from or be impacted is certainly a true power, really. And Now, as far as the young filmmakers out there, any sort of message, lessons learned throughout your journey of filmmaking that you would like to share that would certainly help the up and coming creators out there?
Don't be afraid. If you know you can do it, and if you have this idea, and if you know how you can do it, just do it. There are places they will help you. They're like in the States, there is a fantastic institution called Sundance. They have opportunities, and you can come from the scratch, from a zero to a great filmmaker, because they have so many tools. They have so many people you can subscribe to lectures if you think you don't need lectures. And you know, not everybody should if somebody's going to tell you, oh, you were never working in this world and these fields, forget about it. Don't believe them. Even if you are 50 or 60 years old, or if you're 15 or 10, you can be a filmmaker. If you know how to tell the story, you will tell this story. Just don't let other people take your belief away from you, because this is the worst. Don't be afraid. And these days, you know, we have cinematic films made on iPhone. We have films made on it's not an expensive sport anymore. It's just go, just do it. Do it, and do it exactly the way you want to do it. And if it happens that you run out of money or something, just look around, because there will be people, there are crowdfundings, there are things, you know, and you can always tell your story, always.
Yes, thank you.
And please make a positive story. Don't make stories because you are angry, because don't be like me, you know, because I would probably make 5 films by now if I didn't put my anger into my films.
Yeah, but the feelings, they feel the passion there. And we can definitely feel that from you. And you were letting us know that tomorrow, the 31st, is the 4-year anniversary of the UK withdrawing from the EU. So, what are you expecting out of these next few days? What types of things will you be participating in to really continue sharing Brexit through the non-political glass? What's the next few days look like for you?
Well, one of the greatest casualties of Brexit was Northern Ireland, because the Northern Ireland lost everything. They couldn't have sausages for 2 years because they couldn't get them, because they were just stuck there next to the Republic, but they couldn't import from them from European Union, and they can't have a border because the border is not permitted anymore according to the Good Friday Agreement, which was one of the most successful peace plans in the history, modern history. So just last night, after 2 years, they didn't have a government, because UK is 4 different countries. They didn't have a government, so they got the government. So that's a good thing. And otherwise, nobody will celebrate. Brexit is not something to celebrate. Nobody's going to pop the champagne out, and we never did. Nobody's going to put the flag out and feel more British or more English because we are out. Nobody's going to do it because Scotland wants to rejoin the European Union. Northern Ireland wants to rejoin. So the life will go on in miserable situation when we still occasionally go to the store, and at the moment there is lack of soya, or there is lack of tomatoes, or there is lack of something else. It's always something coming from Europe. And the saddest thing is that all these things are stuck there and they're rotting. Yeah, this is our humanity. We are rotting, and people are hungry in the world. People are hungry in Asia. People are hungry in my country, in UK. People are hungry in Africa, but they can't get food because it's stuck there because the papers don't work, right? So Brexit is no fun, and we are still trying to go through, and will never be recovered ever, and it's never going to be as it used to be. And it's all in all the sectors. We can see that. You go to the restaurant, all the beautiful Italian waiters and waitresses are gone. You go to the fields, there is no Polish people picking up apples anymore. You go everywhere you go, it's very hard to get a cleaning service these days. You don't get a cleaner. Everybody started cleaning their own flats, or they're messy because all the Eastern European workers are gone. So
So definitely sounds like a big impact on immigration laws and trades and the economy, and how it sounds like you're saying it's more isolated now, out of the entire region there. It feels like now you're alone, or it feels alone.
big time. And people didn't understand this is both way, because we can't go there as well. We are not welcomed in the continent. We are not like having treatment like we used to have in the continent, and we can't get jobs in the continent either. So it's both way, and it's a story. There is no winner. Nobody won anything with Brexit. And this is the saddest thing, a very sad thing.
Well, thank you just for sharing more of just like some historical context, the impact that this is feeling. Like I really can just like understand and feel your passion behind this. So want to thank you for sharing this story in the way that you did. Can you let us know what's coming up for you? Do you have any ideas that's in the making right now? Any sneak peeks we can get of what's next for Nina Kojima?
I started already filming a year and a half ago. Nina Goes to Mars. It's I mentioned briefly. I am completing my ethics in extraterrestrial nanotechnology PhD research, and I was always space enthusiast. And I applied for astronaut job a few years ago, and I'm still training, running 10 kilometers per day. So I really want to go to Mars one day, but that might not happen. But still, I'm making the film. So last February, I was filming the French crew of astronauts who will go to Mars at Mars Desert Research Station in Utah, which is from Mars Society. I'm a member of Mars Society and British Interplanetary Society, so I'm very active academically also. So we filmed also the founder of Mars Society, Robert Zubrin, who actually gave Elon Musk idea to create SpaceX. And we also filmed a lot of scientists who are going to Mars. And we are resuming with the filming, I hope, in April, because all depends also on how fast they will complete the program to go to Mars. But you know, these are big challenges. Also, you thought we're going to have the human living on Moon at 2025, which now is not going to happen. Mars is even a bigger hurdle because you can only go there in a certain windows of time. Yeah, so it comes every 2 years, and it's a 7 months long trip to Mars. So it's not as easy. But yes, I'm filming that documentary, what the rocket's gonna look like, what the engine's gonna use, what the food gonna eat. You know, like those French Martians, everything what they ate there was powdered. You know, it was powdered broccoli, it was powdered egg, it was everything was like that because that's the life on Mars. Yeah, nothing grows there.
And you just mentioned it's a 2-year window or specific times you can you enlighten us a little bit about that and tell us why that is, for everyone to get a sense of, you know, the science behind that?
Yeah, of course. So basically, when the planets are close enough, then you can actually go there. And if they're not, you can't, because you just, you know, once you are in space, you know, you use the force, and then you can just go with the force. You know, you just travel. But because space is actually all around, you know, you can't really use. When you are on the street, you can use and you can go left and right. It's very difficult in space to do that. Yeah, and also Mars is very important because Mars was once an Earth-like planet. We know about Mars, those facts now. There is tons of water and oceans of water under probably half a meter of the soil on Mars. But we have to go to learn why Mars lost electromagnetic field. And we now know, like, maybe there are solar flares, which are so strong, solar storms, like it was Carrington effect in 1858, I think, you know, when you could see Earth had an event like that, and you could see the northern lights in Jamaica and in Japan, you know, and it was a big, massive problem. And the next one, which hit the telegraph workers were burned, you know, because they were you know, still doing these telegraph things, putting one wire to another, and when that solar event happened, they burned to death. And the thing is that we must go to learn how it's going to be our future. We're halfway the life of our son. You know, soon the nature will take its course, and if we are all to survive as civilization, we need to learn about our solar neighbors, why their destiny wasn't fortunate enough, and how can we survive, how can we protect ourselves, and so on. But also very important, Mars might have life there. I believe there is life on Mars in primitive forms. Of course, there are no unicorns or rabbits or fish there, but we need to find whether we are related to this life. That would be very interesting thing, and also for the resources. We need resources from our solar system. We can't survive on the Earth resources anymore. We are too many. And soon, it's not going to be enough place for everybody. So it's good to go and maybe start living on Europa and Titan, and maybe in the Goldilocks somewhere, outside our solar system. It's going to be very exciting time for all the generations yet to come.
Nice. So we're really excited to follow along that project, and when it comes out, definitely love to like share more on that. And I think we're gonna have to add scientist and astronaut to your roles there.
Right.
Thank you.
You are doing it all. Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a wonderful a session. We definitely learned a lot about yourself, your projects, and what you have going on in the near future. And I would love to probably ask more about your science and space and everything, but we'll turn this into the sci-fi channel and probably go down everything. I'm sure you want to share everything on the piece too, so you probably don't want to do any spoiler alerts, right? So yeah, so before we conclude here, any a final message you want to tell everyone, any other thing you're working on that you would like to share as well, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. I would like to encourage people to go back to the cinemas as well, and to stop wasting time on vapes and hatrages and guns and all the negative stuff, because I think there is the whole universe of films there for you. And if you don't feel like watching film just from your home because, I don't know, it's too crowded, you are too many people there, just go to the cinema. There's always a place, they're always there for you. And also, I think the cinema is so much to offer. You can learn so much from the films, you can't believe, from documentary films, from any other true stories, or even imaginative stories. Just go sail there and explore. You will find yourself through the films. So if you regret about anything, if you are angry, if you are in a bad mood, or if you're just a normal person who in a normal time zone who only has 2 hours, but don't kill it with nonsense. Don't do ridiculous things. You can still have a glass of wine in the cinema or at the sofa and popcorn. You can still have all of these things, but don't waste your life. It's the one and only on horrible hatrages and horrible things. That's my message. And there is the whole universe there for you of films and good stories.
I just appreciate, even just as an adult, like you want to make sure that you're continuing to learn and build your perspectives. And we just see a lot of conflict through our world. And the only way that we can make any progress is to learn and be open to different perspectives. So appreciate you sharing that within your projects, and you're just like passion to want to keep learning and exploring the world and what it has to offer. So just really appreciate everything that you shared with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure.
Definitely a pleasure for us as well. Thank you so much. We definitely hope to have you again on your new projects, and we wish you the best with everything.
Thank you. Thank you. All the best to you.
Thank you. Wow. Certainly enjoy this session. Learned a lot. She's amazing, right? I mean, so much talent. I mean, you're talking from filmmaker, producer, actress, model, scientist.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is our first season of our first episode of our new season. So this was the best guest I think we could have to really start this season off strong. And it aligns with the anniversary of what the content is about. So just really excited to share this with our community.
Absolutely. And so we will. So certainly everyone go to iBossTV and watch Brexit through the non-political glass. We truly appreciate you for tuning in to Meet the Creators. Until next time.